Ready, and action.
Samaritan's very interesting because it's a take on when you are born with supernatural gifts, and then you realize things aren't turning out as well as you thought, and perhaps even tragedy occurs. This superhero says, I've had enough of trying to save society. I can't even save myself. And he goes into hiding for 25 years. And he's just a trash man, living this kind of like lonely existence, but okay. And then this young kid comes along. I said, there's something about this old man here that's not ringing true. There's more to it. And he continues to get involved until finally I'm exposed. And I go back and do my hero stuff.
Sam is a kid who grows up in a pretty rough environment with just his mom. His dad passed away at a very young age, and he's always kind of looked for that father figure, and he finds that a little bit in Joe. And even though he annoys Joe a good bit, he keeps trying to be close with him.
He doesn't relate to the world. He's always been drawn to superheroes, comics, again, mythology. And he just is looking for a male role model. The entire neighborhood is surrounded by bad guys, and he's being bullied and beaten. So he just senses, he goes, this guy, I think he sees me as a father figure. You know, this old guy, there's something there that connects with him, and it's necessary.
So Sam suspects that Joe is actually Samaritan. He has like this whole thing in his room, and he goes through all of these different people. And when he meets Joe at the playground, he starts to follow him a little bit and even breaks into his apartment. He does some pretty crazy stuff to see if it's really Samaritan.
According to the way I approach filmmaking, and when I've been successful at it, is the audience has to identify with the crisis, say, oh, I've been through that, or I can relate to that, and it's called pure and simple empathy. If they're not empathetic to the situation, then emotionally they're not involved. If they're sitting back and they're watching Transformers, they're like, I'm not going to be emotionally involved, but I'm going to enjoy the visual banquet, but my heart's not beating fast, that kind of a thing. So if you can get the emotionality, and that's what this has all the way through. You have a child with no father, and then you have me, isolated, getting older, you know, so there's a combination of very realistic situations.
I think I would call it a superhero film because it shows that it's not about superheroes wearing capes or these cool flashy suits. It shows the rawness of it, and you know, so it shows the grittiness and imperfections of the superheroes, and I think that still makes it a superhero movie.
Well, it's superhero and anti-hero, but these people are vulnerable. They can die, so they're not impervious. Like, I mean, it's hard for me to, you know, how do you root for Superman? I like it and all that, but let's face it, he's pretty bulletproof. Right? These people aren't. They rely upon extraordinary strength to do amazing things, but they still have one foot in reality. They're like everyday people that you don't know are there. Kind of like if your neighbor was a vampire, you go, really? Okay, he looks like us.
Man, working with Sly, it was a lot of fun. We talked a lot about boxing. He showed me like improv a little bit better like on set, because like that was like the first time I was able to like really improv on a project that I've done. And just to be able to like know that he had that experience and there's things I can take away from him was really cool.
This had nothing to do with being actually physical. There's no taking off of his shirt and doing this kind of thing. I wanted to be more invisible. In other words, you wouldn't be able to pick him out and say, oh yeah, look at him, that guy's, you know, all yoked up with a big neck. It's pretty obvious. He blends in because that's what he wants to do. He wants to be Joe Smith. I mean, I even chose about the most simple name I could find, Joe Smith. Joe Schmo was taken, unfortunately. And then you have this kid who is kind of a spark plug for the whole movie. The genesis of why the film actually is happening is through his eyes. The kid is necessary because there's no real valid reason why I'm so exiled from life. I mean, yeah, okay, you've had some bad blows, but stop feeling so sorry for yourself. And this kid sort of brings that out of me, which is necessary. So I needed him for growth. Every character is necessary to support the other character. Rocky would have never been Rocky without Adrian and then the brother Paulie, then Mickey. They were the building blocks. Otherwise, I was just a bum, and he knew he was.
Pilu, he plays Cyrus, and Cyrus is a nemesis lover. He loves nemesis, you know, that's his guy. Working with him was a lot of fun. He was a great actor, and there was a lot of things I could take away from him, you know, like just his acting ability just in general.
Well, I saw him on Game of Thrones, and he was playing a pirate. I went, I hate this guy. Really dislike him, which means he's doing his job perfectly, because he's not like that. He's a true gentleman as an artist. He's a very conscientious actor on every level. But he has that ability to make you hate him when necessary. But he also has a unique rhythm, and that's hard to duplicate. There's so many components. Actor is one thing, but to be like a star, something that's out there, it's not about acting. It has nothing to do with acting. Matter of fact, you can be a bad actor and be a star. It's this thing that it's just an overall package. It's like when you look at a piece of art, you go, why can't I take my eyes off that piece of art? It's not even that good, but it's riveting. That's what he is. You just watch him wherever he goes. He doesn't blend in, okay, ever.
It's like a different kind of superhero movie. Like, it isn't like your ordinary superhero movie, and it shows that not all heroes wear capes, which I really like. The special relationship between Joe and Sam, that their bond becomes really close, and it's really cool to see.
It's quite different than a bombastic Marvel film. It's a little more grounded in reality. I believe they're going to be swept up in the actual characters. I know that mother, I know this son, I understand Joe a little bit. And before you know it, they're invested in a personal way, as opposed to just wanting to see explosions, which they'll get. But they go, oh, this guy really has a dilemma, or he has insecurities like me, and he's trying to overcome them, or he's guilt. So all the emotions, and that's what I try when I'm on my game. The more of those things I can relate to, and not try to be vain. You go, yeah, it's all about me. No, it's all about them. It's all about the audiences pushing the story forward because they like it.
Ready, and 3, 2, 1, what happened? Run, man!